Hi, everybody. Hi, Anya. How are you doing today?
Hey, beautiful souls, and welcome. It's so lovely to be connected with you and connected with anybody that's watching this video. It's just super exciting.
It really is. Woo. So,
Awesome.
Anya, we kind of just decided to get together and
Mhm.
do like a culmination of energies, what they're like, what they're shifting into, and really kind of help support how you guys can also work with this as well and really
Yeah.
ground it into yourselves, integrate it into yourselves, and help in a big way.
hmm Yeah, you really summed it up perfectly. Like me and Z, we've kind of connected, I'd say over the past year or so, we've been in energetic connection. And then we've humanly connected in the real life form recently, which was absolutely beautiful. We ran a lovely retreat together in Yorkshire. If you can hear a tiny human as well, just to add, my tiny human will be singing and talking around. So that's what the background noise may be, if anyone can hear it. But yeah, me and Z met through the beautiful Honey. Absolutely love Honey for making all these divine connections. And yeah, Honey came over, Z came over, and we had some really powerful energy work that we did at the retreat, New Earth Gathering in December recently. And then we spent a bit of time together afterwards. And it was just profound to be in like your energy and remembering, I think is the right word, like remembering our energetic connections and the way we work together energetically. And like everyone's so different. And the way I work with Honey and the way I then worked with you in the human realm was different, and you could tell there was different things going on there. And I feel we've got some work to share with the collective, and that's kind of the inspiration behind this. And I will
Yeah.
be doing some work with Honey as well, guys, so make sure you're checking out the sessions that Z's doing with Honey and the sessions that I'm doing with Honey as well, because she has some powerful work to bring as well. But yeah, we've got yeah, it feels the right time. It feels the right time to be sharing what we are kind of going through as a collective, how we can be combating it, and also how we can be reflecting and integrating that throughout the month as we're going through.
Yeah. I just want to say in appreciation, I'm so glad that I got to spend that time with you and reconnect in ways that were like familiar and also like, oh yeah, we remember this. I
Yeah, so true.
remember you
So
very
true.
well.
hmm
So,
And it
uh,
was just the most powerful time.
yeah, it really was. It was one of
Mm.
those that I was really like, oh, I don't want to leave that space with you.
No, 100%. And it always is the case when we all get together, whether it's at the retreat, and then we got to go to Scotland and spend some time in Yorkshire as well. So we had a bit of time in both places. And anyone that's been to either Scotland or Yorkshire knows there's so much history and heritage and archaeological history there. And it's kind of just everywhere. So you're walking down the street corner of what might not be sometimes the most well kept up, area, and yet there'll be this most ancient church or
Yes.
monument and things. And so we really enjoyed exploring that with Honey and her beautiful partner, with Crystal, with my partner and my son and Z. And it was like we was in this little energy bubble after the retreat, because we had the most fantastic time running the retreat. And then the energy shifted as we're going into doing deeper energy work on the go, kind of on the move. And that's kind of something we wanted to share with you guys a little bit more. Is it's hard to put it into human words, because sometimes you're just there to do it and you just feel it. But we wanted to kind of share that you will probably be doing that, and you will probably be doing all these energy work activations, all this grid work, all these things that we're now learning to consciously identify, that we have
Yes.
been doing for us whole lifetimes. But me and Z just kind of wanted to humanize it a little bit and make it a bit more human and make it a little bit more accessible for your brain, for everyone's consciousness, for the collective, so that we're all able to kind of understand how we're contributing to this ascension. Because, like Z said, when you're in connections like we are, you don't want to leave, because it's
Yep.
just so powerful and activating. And if we can start creating that consciously around where we are together with our
Yes.
soul family groups, then that's going to just keep spreading.
Yes, absolutely.
Mm.
So, like you said, we're here to really just break that down. And I'm gonna just be laughing at myself too, because words to me are just very confusing in some of these spaces. So you might find me catching myself and going, no, 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 that wasn't like simple. That even what I wasn't trying to say in human.
Yep.
But we're gonna
It
do our best
happens.
to really break that down and allow you guys to understand that you're doing it with us and we're equals here, and we want to help support that and support that within you to know that you're doing it as well.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Really well put. Because it is something that, like you say, it's natural to all of us. We just haven't been given the human, like when we're taught to walk and we're taught to speak and we're taught to eat. And, obviously, I have a tiny little 1-year-old who's learning all these human functional skills. Z got to meet Fee and they definitely bonded. Phoenix, every time he's seen Z, was like, oh my God, it's playtime. Like, it was like, he's seen all these beings around him. It was just so activated, which is so beautiful to see. But yeah, they're learning all these functional skills of what we taught as humans. But then we're not taught, okay, that's that barefoot on the grid, on the grass over there. That's illuminating the grid and then activating the land and also replenishing your energy. And so if we were taught these things as children, they wouldn't be like, oh, this woo-woo things that we have to learn. It's more so like a skill, a functional skill that we should have already learned how to clear as energies, how to clear out space that doesn't feel right, how to set up an energetic boundary, how to translate vibration should be something just as breathing and existing and eating, drinking, learning how to ride a bike, all these great functional skills as a human. We have so many functional skills we could be doing as a human if we learn to consciously integrate that already existing knowledge within us.
Exactly. Yeah. And now we can break it down to the fact that it is that simple too. Like you could just go out and stand by a tree and put your hand on it, and that moves whatever is moving through your body and helps shift the collective. It really is simple. So I really want to put it out there that you guys are already doing a lot of work already, and I appreciate it
100%.
because it's these simple, tiny little actions that you can do, and it doesn't have to be so big. It can be very broken down into tiny parts and pieces, and
Yep.
really help you, yeah, and everybody else.
And that's the point. Like you guys are already doing it. And I think sometimes because there's people like me and Yuzi and Honey and other beautiful people in this industry that are talking about what they're doing, it looks like they're doing more. And sometimes there is more being done, don't get me wrong, because everyone has different roles. But what I'm saying is, it looks like there's more capability than there is for some people that may be watching these videos because there's more understanding about it on a human level. There's more recognition of how we're doing it on a conscious level and more speaking about it and kind of putting words to it, which make it seem sometimes like it has to be a certain way. Right. And I think that's what the paradigm that we're trying to break down between self, between others, as someone who kind of activates other people and helps them through remembrance. It's really important that when I'm kind of teaching, I don't want to teach a certain way because everyone will be connecting to source and to higher energies and to your higher self in slightly different ways and different translational ways. And so it's more about, I like to show the remembrance of the activations of how they can be physically doing it and how they can be experiencing it and feeling that activation within so that you can kind of integrate that knowledge on a cellular level. And again, these words sound really fancy and big and, but really it's just about knowing, okay, this feeling is this vibration is this is what I can do about it. And this is how I get rid of it. And these are the words that we can use to acknowledge them because everything needs human translation as we're in a human incarnation, But it's finding words that resonate with you.
Exactly. And she said it so beautifully. This is about you guys embodying and empowering yourself to know yourself. And that's why using words like teaching, because like I guess you could say I teach too, but I'm not in that space. I'm not I'm not like a spiritual guru guidance person. Like literally I am just like you and I'm here for shift. That's all this is. I'm here to work with you guys to make that shift into your highest and best and also move that with the collective so that we all have a piece of that remembrance of knowing who we are.
Yeah. And I love the way that you are kind of so authentically in that too. That was one of the things we really bonded on, because I do struggle with that. Like, I have that, I'm like, don't put me on a pedestal. Remember, I'm just a normal human doing my own thing in this spiritual incarnation that we're going through. And I experience up and downs. I experience blockages. I experience little humans acknowledging that as well. I experience times where I'm feeling, on that whole emotional roller coaster, and where there's things that I would like to achieve in the physical world, or whatever's going on, that would be great to just instantly create. I'm not at a place everything's in divine manifestation, instant access to everything, and everything's perfect and la da da, and I'm living in the 90 Ascension. I'm not there yet, and I'm not in any shame to acknowledge that. I'm like, listen guys, I'm right there with you. I'm riding the wave, and I've I was gonna swear then, but I won't swear too much because I swear a lot. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
It's sometimes it can be a really frustrating, challenging, emotional, difficult time to go through. And fees acknowledging that it can be a whole wild ride. It's not rainbows, sunshines, and everything's and I think that was a bit of a misconception of the ascension and the shift, that it was just all one day gonna like turn around and everything was gonna be perfectly wonderful. And there'll be a lot of less darkness and heaviness, which will seriously help the overall vibration. But I don't think that means that it's all just going to miraculously go away overnight, because then what are we here for?
Exactly.
There's no point in that.
Yeah. It's really kind of funny too, and comical when you say that. And we're here for the human experience. And for me, I don't deny those roller coasters. They are very part of my existence that I highly appreciate, because those are the lessons that I like to learn. Those are how I learn how to work with frequency and toning, tuning, the sound of the universe, and I will willingly go into those spaces so that I can work that piece. That's what I'm here to do. And so to say that we are any different from you because we're a little bit more aware of whatever it is that you think we might be aware of is we go through our stuff, and we go through it hardcore like everybody else does. We're not unlike anybody else here. I like the roller coaster because it seriously allows me to make changes, allows me to be in creation
rapidly.
And that is creation.
Yes, rapidly. And I think that's a massive key to this. So like, I don't think people realize that. I think that's a real golden nugget there. It might be my little thing, golden nuggets. I like them, like a little golden nugget that you need to take home with you. Because seriously, like, when you're going through this ascension, I remember being 15 years old in hospital, 26 tablets a day, 8-9 times a year, constant in and out, all that stuff. And I remember just being like so confused as to why I was experiencing that. Same with the mental health, same with like why I felt so like depressed and anxiety, and like why was I feeling so wrong in my own existence and my own like, why was this experience so hard to be in? And once I understood, shit, this is for you to learn. This is for you to go deep and expand and layer off these shells and walls that you might have put up in this lifetime or many others. And once I kind of got that, it was like, all right, yeah, okay. Like, as much as I still experience the hospitalizations, I still had mental health, and sometimes still have wobbly days of anxiety and whatever's going on the vibes. I never got to a place of pure Buddha level peace. I'm still not there, but I don't find it challenging like I used to. I don't find, obviously I'm pregnant the second time this time, and I've had really bad sickness, something called PGP, which is some pelvic pain thing that honestly I've been crawling up the stairs. It's been bad. But once you have like an understanding of the deeper layers, it's frustrating, it's upsetting, it's overwhelming. It's sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I can't deal. But in the majority of the time, the perspective and the mindset affects the whole timeline that you're living in. And I've seen this with my other friend Madeline, who experiences chronic pain. Anyone with fibromyalgia or chronic pain conditions will understand this. Your perspective on how you live your daily life will change everything, and how you choose to perceive why you're going through what you're going through. And as awful as it is, not viewing it as, oh, why me and why this, because that's not going to alleviate anything. Sometimes you can have them little moments of, oh, why am I going through this? This is a bit shit. But then get it out and then go back to the focus of, okay, what can I learn from this? What can I gain from this? What can I expand from this? Who can I become after this because I've gone through this? And I think that's just really important to reflect on. It's not about avoiding the roller coaster, going back to what you said, the original golden nugget. It's not about avoiding the roller coaster. And I did that for a long time. I think I just tried to run away from it for so long with the panic attacks and the anxiety. It was like, fuck that. But now the swearing's come out already. Here we go. But then it became a sense of, you know, don't run from it, sit with it, ride the roller coaster, and see where your end destination gets, because I guarantee it's going to be a more expanded version of you than I even got on the roller coaster in the first place if you ride out the wave. And it's a powerful perspective shift as we're going through this ascension.
Oh, it's massive. And also, again, beautifully said with that and stated. The roller coaster is something that I like to be an embracement of and sit with, and in those spaces know, because I perceive it to be that way, that there's a greater me coming out of that. There's a more remembrance in me. There's a more remembering my power, who I am, connected to source or universe, however you want to perceive that as me. The perception is really important. And there's nothing wrong with feeling those feelings. That's the point of that. Feeling like, what am I doing right now? This is complete crap. Like, honestly, and being there and feeling that and embracing that, surrendering to that, and then just going, and also, what can I learn from this? Where can I stand in this? And what does that mean that I need for myself right now? Because maybe that's just a week off, and you just got to be, for a minute. So that's where, like, the right or wrong, I feel like the culmination of this month is about that piece, this, like, doing things right or wrong. There's a big breakdown that I felt myself with that, like, and the fact is, in the universe, there is no right or wrong. It's just a lesson. So if you perceive it to be wrong, or, if you feel it to be wrong, you can sit with that for a second. You could be in that, because I've certainly been in it. Like, I have definitely been there. My past has brought in a lot of really deep lessons for me, coming out of a lot of ritualistic abuse and some of those spaces where it had to be a deep place of me sitting with that and going, so how do I use this for my empowerment? And it took me a minute to get there. It takes a minute. And so with that too, I say, it takes its time, and that's okay to be exactly where you're at with everything. Is another piece I want to bring in. Like, you're perfect exactly where you're at. That's okay.
Yep. And wow, what a great way of explaining that experience, and also recognizing that if it does take time, that's okay. Like, we didn't come here to just be a perfectly ascended, crystalline, healed, Buddhist level 13-dimensional being, because if we'd have chose to do that, we would have been in that incarnation. We came here to also experience this muddy waters, this sticky ground. And I think a lot of us at some point have felt that, I've definitely felt, am I from here? But I think that kind of longing to go back somewhere, I never felt that as much, because I felt like, no, I feel like I need to be here right now where I am doing this, even though I didn't understand a lot of what I know now. And now it's so much easier, like you say, once you have that once that minute comes and you get them realizations of, okay, because, man, it's hard to look at self. I think that's one of the hardest things to break. Like, when you look at things that we've been through in our lifetimes, it's like, it's easy to feel, it's not easy, but the first option usually as a human is to, like, look at, well, why did I have to experience that? And why did I have to, have this horrible negative things? And then when we realize, actually, we chose that takes a minute, I think. Like, that took me a minute. I was like, Oh damn! Now I've been looking for the answer to where do I, why, all this, and then when it realized that energy is directed straight back at self, I was like, oh, like it was a real layer to work through and sit through of there is no one to blame on a human level. Yeah, there's shit we shouldn't do as humans because like that's just being a good human being and you just shouldn't do them things. 100% like morally, ethically, all of that. But on a soul level, like we don't know what contract, what agreement, what choices, what higher vibrational things we chose to arrange and agree to, and that sounds really bad when you're in a human perspective, I'm aware, but sometimes when you shift into that, not this physical reality is not the real version of our experience or on the
Right.
overall, you can kind of see it on like I always say the video game, the person holding the control and the person playing the character,
Yep.
both are real and existing, but when we go back to being that person holding the player, the control, it's remembering that the choices they made in that game and not necessarily what defines them as a being. And I suppose that's what we're kind of understanding now on a deeper level is them choices that people make in the experience, the choices that we make in this experience, and not always, a reflective of their overall frequency. Sometimes they are, but also sometimes it was for us to learn, for us to teach, for us to reflect, and we don't always know the deeper meanings.
Yeah. Right. And we don't always need to know what the deeper meanings are
No.
either. You know, that's one thing that I appreciate you in saying, and this coming up is our minds like to get caught up on what we think are going deeper in aspects like that. And I'm not saying not to look at self, but also be very compassionate, like of being where you're at. And you don't have to go deeper to know certain things, right? If that's going to cause a stress on your nervous system or things like that, then you could just be like, okay, I don't know what the actual meaning of that is, and that's going to be okay with that. I'm going to be
Yep.
okay with that. Um,
Yeah.
I know for myself in those spaces where I've had a lot of emotional stuff come up, telling myself I chose that, I'm not there yet,
Yep.
and
No.
that's okay
Yep.
too because this is the process of
Yeah. Exactly. It's a process.
to break it down. Yeah. Yep. So if you're like just in an emotional day and totally just want to like tear stuff apart, like, and don't get me wrong, I have those days. Being there is the best way to work through that process and allowing that its journey to do what it needs to do.
Yeah.
Once that's your body's feeling like, okay, like it's calming down. Now I can make a choice for myself. Okay. From a higher perspective, I did choose that. What can I learn from it? And it just takes
Yeah.
that amount of time to go through that process. So
Mhm.
we
Mhm.
all run through it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that'd be good because it's that shift from, oh my God, why has this happened? Why am I in this? Why has this happened today when I need to get there to work and I need to do this? And when we're in the human, it's like a punishment. It's like a burden to the soul. It's like, why are we going through this? And then it's like, oh, okay, step into the heart, step into the higher self, step into that higher perspective of looking and feeling like, okay, but what if that delay was for a higher reason to protect, to be
Sure.
present for someone else, to spread your vibration somewhere else, to have your energetic presence somewhere else, like to have, oh, so many things, as as you can experience. It's like you can get the gist. It can be the butterfly effect, the turning right, turning left. And
Yes.
sometimes we have to just trust that where we are, what we're going through, what we're experiencing, even though sometimes it can be like, what the actual Jeff, it's still about going, do you know what, yeah, that really want nice to experience. I don't go through really negative things and go, wow, I'm so grateful for that in the moment. I'm like like
Yep.
what, and I'm going through it and I allow that, I know I'm consciously aware. Part of me is like, yeah, we're going to calm down after this and we're going to reflect on it and we're going to journal about it and we're going to release it and we're going to identify the root trauma here. And then that part's like really quiet over there whilst my human is venting and letting out the frustrational energy. And then when it centers back in, I do all them things, you know, whatever it is I'm called to do. I don't do all of them things all at once. I might do one of them things. I might just get a bath. I might just get a bath, and in that bath, I might be thinking about all the things I'm letting go of. And then when that water's running away, I'm rinsing it away with me. Like, it doesn't need to be like a level 3 diploma level spiritual woo woo. Like, that's kind of the myth that's been brought in the spiritual world at the moment, is that you have to have this Reiki certificate and this level of this. And I'm not saying they're not great, they're great, but you don't need any of
Absolutely.
that to just ascend, to just be, to just exist, you know, to be in your
Right.
heart, to be healing, to be releasing. And yeah, I think the techniques of shifting that perspective, like you were saying, Z, from the human, why is this going on, to the higher, everything has purpose, and just remembering that also both can coexist at the same time.
Exactly.
Then that's like a weird feeling to be in, but it's true. You know, I
Yep.
get really, really peed off about things sometimes, whilst also knowing and trusting that I'm exactly where I need to be and I don't need to do anything differently. But it's still annoying, and I still get peed off about it because it's very annoying
Yep.
to experience. And you know, both can coexist. I'm at a place where that's going on for a couple of things in my life, and I'm at peace with that right now. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And to even break that down a little bit further than that,
Mm.
it's okay to have both of them exist at the same time. As I feel like that's another misconception, is like, if I'm having a very angry day and like I'm off wanting to murder, whatever the case is, I'm in that really, really big intensity. Uh, that doesn't mean that you're not connected to your soul and you don't have that component there, and that it doesn't get to hold you in that space, because it is. I know
Yeah.
I've experienced this myself and with clients, and in doing groups and things like that, is like, no, I'm really feeling like, I want to swear and it's really horrific and I'm really pissed at this person. That means that I can't get to this level of ascension. That is not true,
Mm.
everybody. At
Yeah,
all.
it's not true. It's not true at all.
So yeah, giving yourself permission to know that they can both coexist, and you're not anywhere less in your experience or in your ascension process if you're having just a real crappy day.
Yep. Couldn't agree more. I really could not agree more. Because I think that's a bit of a thing that I hung on to, like a bit of an imposter syndrome, that I can't be at this level of like helping others at this capacity. And then why am I still experiencing these things that I'm going through? And it was like, I kind of struggled with that a little bit, because I felt capable to help these people as an external perspective as well, because I'm not experiencing it, I'm not going through it as a human. So it's really easy for me to shift into my higher perspective and take a look and then reflect back the information from their higher selves and their guides and stuff. Really easy for me to do. But then when I'm going through it, it's like, oh, it's a totally different thing to navigate, because it adds in the human emotion that comes with being in the human incarnation. And I think this has just been so forgotten about in the ascensional process, is that at this current moment we are still in a human incarnation, and even when we're navigating into the crystalline body, I do still see myself in a form of a human incarnation. So for me personally, that's not going anywhere for me anytime soon. So I work on how can I keep them more connected in a more harmonious and synchronicity. I don't know what the word is. In a more synchronicity way, you know, like keep them more harmonious together, vibrating together, rather than one trying to spread messages from the higher self and it being such a gap, you know, like that I
Right.
feel is the problem sometimes with being human. It's not that we're human, it's that we're not in connection and harmony with the soul. And when we find that flow with mind, body, soul, spirit, everything does become a little bit easier, even through the roller coaster storms. It's like, yeah, like you say, you know, you're good, you know, you're kind of held in this space, you know, you've got this
Yes.
kind of like backup and this support and this knowledge and these skills and this remembrance that we didn't have, well, I didn't have 10 years ago, you know. And so it's like now it's that's something to lean on a little bit, you know, that
Yes.
backup.
Yeah, I feel like, and I interpret that as a dance. It's a really lovely dance between your soul, your human experience, your body, and
Yeah.
being connected to the universe. And that's where those pieces, again, I'm going to bring that in for this month, because that's what I've been experiencing for this month, is
Yeah.
breaking that down into, I'm not wrong or right, and I'm trusting that I'm held in this experience no matter what. And as soon as that's the case, your body can release a lot of garbage it doesn't need anymore, and really embrace what the soul is bringing into the body.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And also using that for a superpower. I would say there had definitely been times where I've taught or been present with groups and working with people, and I'm very honest and vulnerable about what I have worked through in those spaces.
Yeah.
And I remember a few of those groups where half of them just left. Oh, you have all that stuff. You have baggage too. Oh, I you.
Yep. Yep.
so,
That's the
so,
thing.
so
That's the thing.
like, you shouldn't be working. Yeah, yeah, and that was for me to go, because I've gone through that and used that as an empowerment piece. That is what I can bring to the space.
Right. Key. That's the key. That's your resonance. That's your experience. Like, it's like asking someone who's not a mechanic to help you with a car when they've not trained with cars. Your experience is in that healing of that journey, of that resonance. So obviously you're going to be there to be able to offer healing space for people in that experience. And I feel like that's sometimes when people are looking for their purpose and they're looking for this kind of thing to study, I'm like, well, what can you share? Like, what are you sharing every day with your friends and your family? Like, well, how are you already empowering people in your through your experiences that you have gone through? And like you were saying, like, taking it back to this month, it's been a wild month of it feels like quite a long month in January. It's felt like a deep period of inner reflection, but then also like time to organize and create and allocate, I think, is a good word. He keeps like adding in. It's allocating the right, like getting that dance is right. I think that's the great example. Learning to dance with a soul as a human, learning to dance with a human as a soul, and finding a form of harmony is kind of what I think the collective vibration is going through right now. And for some that means purging, for some that means emotionally purging, for some that means reclaiming, recluttering, releasing, leaving. There's a whole different way that might look like to different individuals, but in the overall, it definitely feels like a realignment and a reconnection.
Yes, definitely a dance of understanding. I can trust the soul perspective and know that I can continue to do what I'm doing. That's what it really feels like it's coming down to in this space. So there is a lot of releasing, a lot of seeding, a lot of like creationary energy coming to the space, because that's kind of what those dances do. They bring up a lot of chaos to help us understand that we can be further in ourselves and remember ourselves, and have a dance with that. And this month it just feels like, it's an unknown piece that's running through there. We don't really know what that's all gonna look like, and that is where the trust gets to get settled in there with self
100%.
and everything else. So yeah,
I love that. It's the trust as well. The trust, that was key. Golden nugget moment, that was
yep.
definitely key. Trust is so important. I think I struggled with that from my humans experiences. I did not trust very easily. I did not open to trust, open to vulnerability. And I really struggled with trusting as a human that my soul has this and I don't need to be in control all the time, because my human was trying to control my soul experiences and my lessons and like how I experience it and what I'm going to experience next and what's going to look like. And my soul's like, bitch, please now. then I'm like,
I ain't even playing that game. I don't know what you're doing. I've done that too.
Not gonna happen. I really got
like it's really cute. Like you could go in those circles, but here's what's going to happen. You're going to end up in that spot.
Right. And I was like, okay, so I've been learning to let go of the reins. I mean, I still struggle sometimes, especially when it feels like wildly unfamiliar and testing and it, just like throw you in the deep end. I mean, I'm okay with some things, but some things, I don't know, it depends what the trigger is in the human. And it's about going, okay, that's okay. Like sometimes I'm presented with something and my human freaks out about it. And then I'm like, oh, really? That's why I freaked out. Da, 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 da. And then I'm presented with it again. and then I get the choice again. So it's not like, oh my God, you missed your opportunity, you're never going to get this thing again. Like a lot of the time, if you need to learn the lesson or experience it, you're just going to keep getting it in different forms anyways. And so reflection is important for this month. Like I think there's just so much pressure too. Like when we've created these sessions for you guys, we want to kind of have a session that's more about, like today was a bit of an introductory session too, but we want to kind of have a session that's about what we're going through as a collective and how you guys can be contributing to the collective, what skills you guys can be kind of tuning into, what remembrance you can be activating, and maybe any questions that you guys are having, a reflection of the energies in the month or what we're going through as a collective, stuff like that. And then we also wanted to have like a bit of a reflection and integration, maybe a little bit of meditational session where we are integrating that and working on the internal and activating, expanding, releasing on an internal level as well as expanding on an external level in a human consciousness. And so we've got kind of these frequencies that we want to set out to you guys, and these intentional frequencies. And I suppose our intention is also, again, being truly authentic, is to hold me personally, we've been talking about it, to hold ourselves accountable to also maintaining that frequency in ourselves too, and maintaining that. I mean, Z does a lot of astral work all the time, but for me, it's remembering that I can live sometimes in the human and still be doing a lot of the energy work, even when the human life's busy. Or I can be living a lot in the, not so much anymore, but I can be living a lot in the astral and still have every right to be experiencing the beautiful, joyful things as a human. And I think it's like that, again, dance, balance, whatever you want to call it, that little synchronicity thing that keeps coming up as a big part of today's energy and this month's energy, is finding an internal harmony and an internal balance and peace within self, so that we can make this spiritual human existence, coexistence, more peaceful and more beautiful.
Absolutely. And really come together. That's
Mm-hmm.
another thing that's playing into this, is really come together and work together on these
Yep.
things. Uh,
100%.
and you hear us talking about soul families, and really, you know, what that is a perspective, from my perspective, is our souls really contracting to come down with people we've experienced with before to make you know, ourselves learn first. Is about ourselves first and our lessons, and then allow us to be able to work together. And
Yeah.
so I would like for more of you to experience what Anya and I have in that type of
Mm.
space, where we
Yeah.
could come in and it's authentic. We can celebrate each other, and we can also have a lot of fun in there too, you know?
So much fun. Like exploring them castles was good fun. And
Oh yeah.
obviously we had Brad, my partner, and John, who's Sonny's partner. We all went out together with Fee and Z at most days, because we was like the little adventure bunch. Obviously Honey wasn't feeling well, bless her, so we had like a mixture of energies going on. And with Fee, I have to get out of the house because he's a wild feral little thing that needs to be out in nature. So we went out, and Z was like, oh, John came, and we was just walking around. There's such a mixture of energies, but in like such flow with each other. It was so funny to witness. Like, cause there's me and Z, like Phoenix joining in, like with his little energy, and then there was like Brad's energy and John's energy, and then like. Okay, but there was such acceptance of everything, like, and no one was judging, no one was bothered, everyone just did their own thing. You go over there, you do that, you do this, and it was just so relaxed and flow, you know. And even at the retreat, that was just fantastic, because I had a lot of my family working as a team, my family very open and in the heart space, which is really, I'm really grateful for. And just to see everyone, like especially at the ball at the end, dancing and dressed up as big fairies and angels and wings and costumes and all this like good music, and also just like the freedom to just be yourselves throughout the whole experience, and to lean on each other at certain times for different things. And like you're saying, it's all about community at the moment. And you know, it sounds magical and amazing, because it is, and it was, but we don't get to experience that forever. Even where we're at doing these things now, we're still like having to then go back to being individual and doing individual healing and internal stuff, and that can sometimes be lonely and challenging. So luckily we get to experience these beautiful things together, but it can also be, you know, it can also be overwhelming at times for all of us. So it's just about kind of putting yourselves out there and open, if you're in your authenticity, to meeting people that are also doing that.
Yeah, yeah, very much
Mm.
so. And also doing that, it does bring up more things that,
Mm-hmm.
it brings up more to take a look at, because we're all kind of looking at it together and we're activating each other. And uh, I feel
Yeah,
like
definitely.
that golden
Definitely.
nugget in there is the openness. And where are
Mm.
you with your openness? And it's okay if you're not, in that space right at the moment, moving in that direction. That's another keynote that I would say is coming into this month is, are we open to what can be brought to us in that space, and the actions that we can take to have greater connection, or be more in ourselves, or ask for support, which is another one in there, right?
Ooh, that's a big one for me. That's what I'm doing. That's my checklist for this month. And I'm doing really well with it. I am doing really well. But with the pelvic pain that I've experienced, that I'm a hyper independent, active person, do my own thing, especially like even pregnant, when I was pregnant with Fee, I was hiking and walking and lifting and doing everything that I felt
Yeah.
capable of doing. And this pregnancy, I'm like, I can't walk up the stairs or put a pair of shoes on. So it has been really difficult to navigate that, and to have to literally ask for help every single minute of the day for most
Yeah.
things in life. It's been really challenging, but also then it's been really comforting to experience those who are capable, able, and present to show up, and actually witnessing that and experiencing that has been really beautiful. And I've had a lot of people show up for me lately that have been showing up for the past year with me, and the change that I've gone through with Phoenix and stuff. And so it's nice to kind of see that support and experience it in real time, and not be afraid of receiving it.
Yes, yes,
Mm.
absolutely. That's
It's
one
been a
thing I
big one
really,
for me.
yeah, I really appreciated coming to see you guys and working with your family.
Mm-hmm.
It was all very heart centered, and there was a lot of support for you in the space. And I know for myself, I was like, ah.
Yeah. It's a strange thing to navigate. And like me last year and the year before, every year it's like, wow, really doing this, like this is going, you
Yep,
really ask for help on this. And even if it's small things that I would have just so chose to suffer, and then been in resentment, and then upset and overwhelmed and anxiety, and then wondered why. And so it's like so nice to feel like, right, I'm struggling, I'm overwhelmed, what can I do about it? And just
yep,
asking for help. And also, sometimes I'm not quite there. Sometimes I say things and I expect people to understand like what I mean in that code worded riddle that I just sent out there. And I'm like, why did you not just understand my riddle of asking for help? Like,
yep.
what the heck? And Brad's like, maybe you should just communicate a little bit better. And maybe I'd helped you in the first. I was like, I have to own that one. And it's just like, sometimes I'm still not there. I'm not gonna claim to be perfect, but I am a million times better than what I used to be on accepting help, and I've stopped being so stubbornly hyper independent for no
Uh-huh.
reason. Like, there is literally no reason other than it's a survival technique that I learned along the way that I just didn't get rid of, and luckily I have done now, or I am doing in deeper layers. And that's the thing, we're all out of what you said there, that definitely highlighted for me. So that might have been one for you, but there also might have been another one that Z said, which was so important there, of
Yep.
releasing, and these things are holding us back. I didn't have the best postpartum experience with Phoenix. I had a beautiful birth and a really nice pregnancy actually, but really not great postpartum experience at all. And it made me reflect so deeply, because it was a really difficult time. And the overall, what I got from it was, I didn't have a village, but I also didn't ask for any help from anyone. And I
Uh-huh.
didn't allow, and I wasn't open. And I think that was a big thing. I wasn't energetically open to receiving support from the right people. And
Right.
so that really blocked any support. And so that was a very lonely experience. And this time I've reflected on who, what, where, why,
Mhm.
when, how I can be more open, who I can ask for help, why, what, all these things. And it just creates such a fulfillment and a
Yes.
sense of love in self, and like love for self, like gratitude for looking after self as well. And I think these things are really important. Like, you feel like you're honoring yourself so much more when you actually do listen to your own needs instead of just stubbornly suffering.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that was a really big one for me too. It was the right help that was
Yes.
like allowing the right help, right? Not picking from sources that are not like
Very
emotionally
important.
available, or places like where that has been a space before. Yeah, that coming into the space is like, oh, it's that deserving worthiness piece and allowing peace to come into the space. And I know for myself over this last month, I've just seen all these little facets of myself that have kind of come together as a whole to dance with each other and be like, oh, hey, look, here's this one little blind side that you didn't see. I'm like, oh,
hey, look over there. Hello. No, I think it's really important though what you're mentioning, because it's key little point that, because when you're looking for emotionally unavailable sources, you then start reflecting on self, like, I shouldn't have asked for that help, or I asked for too much, or blah blah blah. You start internalizing it and you think that there's something wrong with you, rather than not that there's anything wrong with them. It's just the situation wasn't right. Like, you couldn't have the exchange going on there, and we was looking for the exchange in the wrong place, or looking for a reflection that needed to come up. But also, I think sometimes we internalize it a lot when we're looking for support in the wrong places, and then we're like, oh well, we're not going to ask again because we didn't receive it. But actually, it was not it was not asking that was the problem. It was who we was asking, and maybe their capacity at that time.
Right.
Yeah.
And
so that was a really important fact.
Yep, that was a big one. That was a big one for this one. And just to say for you guys, if that is like a process that you're running through, also know too that it's okay if somebody can't be there in that space. It's then opening yourself up to, okay, where do I need to go for myself where I can have a full exchange, and that might be scary right off the bat. It might be unknown. And I just encourage that little bit of going, okay, well, these guys are, these guys are emotionally available and they're like ready to support in that way. And I'm worthy of that. And understanding that, and also releasing that facet of going to people who aren't really wanting that exchange. They're not really there for that exchange. Okay, that's an old aspect that gets to go away now. Gets to move.
Needs to move. And I think that's the problem. Like I said, we look for it in the wrong places, and then it's like, I didn't realize how much support was available from other people because I was potentially asking for it for the wrong people, and then feeling closed off to any support because of the experiences with the wrong people. And when the energies of that is taken out of the picture and you're actually in a healthy exchange of love and support, it's like, oh, this is what that feels like. And it's a readjustment to the nervous system as well, to allow that to be the new normal, rather than support being correlated with feeling like a burden, or feeling like you're asking for too much, or
like,
all them things.
All those things that run in there. That process is now shifting massively, and that was a part of our growing up and our environment, and whatever we learned in those spaces with our child, and coming in through these parallels that are coming in from other places, now coming to get that shifted because the support that we're looking for is out there. And that's where we're getting kind of more guided towards, so that we can be more in community with each other.
100%, because we can't be in the community with resentment, with overwhelm, with anxiety, with trauma, with us parents, with not being able to accept help. And like I said, using the pregnancy as an example again, like my willingness to accept help physically, like even just from random strangers, that I'm like, no, it's fine, and then recently I've had to obviously accept that help. And so it's like, just being open to that. I've actually realized there's some really nice people out there that really just genuinely just want to help you out. And like, I don't need to have anxiety or worry or fear about them things. And I don't need to be guarded all the time. And I think that was a lesson that came up as well. Like, it's come from a lot of lower frequency energy around me in childhood, and constantly being like, you get my, just like energetically a target throughout life. So it's felt like I had to keep quite guarded, for most of my life, and quite protected and quite within myself. And having to be more open physically. Like, I cannot lift that dog food off that shelf. I cannot push this trolley around. Cannot carry this to the car. Cannot do this. So having to go, oh, hey, can you help me? Or people just offering and me accepting it. And then meeting these new frequencies, and also like receiving that support just from someone that has no obligation to me. They're not my family, they're not my friend, but yet they just helped me because they wanted to be a good person, or just because they wanted to. And it's really nice to feel that level of community
Yes.
vibration.
Absolutely.
Mm.
It's a stunning feeling. It's not really something I can even describe other than it's trusting that no matter where you're at, there's support there.
Yeah, yeah,
There's support there.
definitely. Yeah, I was definitely challenged when flew back from America, but with my son alone. There was me and my I think he was about 12, like 13, 14 months old then, and obviously I was 6 months pregnant, and I was really struggling a lot by the time I'd got back from the flight, and I was really overstimulated. Loads of lovely people had helped on the flight. There was like 3 people around me that offered to help, and like, because it's no room whatsoever, so it was really difficult, really overstimulating. And when I got there, there was no trolley machines. Like, the thing went, and I couldn't get the trolley out, and I couldn't carry the suitcases with Phoenix, and I was just like ready to have this whole I was like, seriously, my human was like, no more, can't take no more, got no more in me.
Yeah.
And then there was like 3 people around me that must have picked up on the vibration, and I was really overwhelmed and was really struggling. And like, literally out of nowhere, 3 people just turned up. Like, one was the staff, one was another random lady that was just like, oh, I'll get it, I'll get this bag, and I'll get you a pound out for the machine. And then the machine wasn't working, so the guy kind of went and got his thing and fixed it. But it was just such a point of crisis moment of like, wow, I'm really at my limit right now, fully at the limit. But also, even at that limit, there was support and help and love and connection. And it was really like trusting in that, and again, knowing that it's okay to feel that overwhelmed. It was a really difficult journey for me. And so having that reflection of, it's okay to feel that emotion that I'm going through, and then also trusting that God, some things, some things got come from the universe that makes us feel provided, supported, looked after, because we are always abundantly, we're a part of it, we're a reflection of it. And when we were just for even a split second, remember that, when you think even in a frustrated way, like, come on now, universe, where's my backup? And
Yep.
then it's like that remembrance of it is there, and it will come. And just knowing that even in the difficult times.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you so
Mm.
much. Just kind of bring this back into a space of what you guys can do coming from this and what that looks like. I mean, I would say from my perspective is break it down, take it easy on yourself, know that you're not doing anything wrong and you're already making a massive contribution to the space as it is. You don't have to see all these things and be in these spaces to do that. It could be something very simple as I'm gonna I'm gonna stand here for a moment and love myself just for a second, go into heart space just for a moment to see where that feels like, to fully feeling emotions and the roller coaster when it comes up, knowing that you're still supported. Yeah, I would say let's just break it down. Be simple with yourself. See what you need in the space, what you're open to, allowing to come in, being receptive, and finding something humorous in there. As I was saying, I gotta find something funny in there too.
Yeah, you gotta find something. You gotta find something to laugh at, because it's not. It's making it less like zoomed in. I think that's kind of my little takeaway, because I get really fucking zoomed in on the, like
Yeah,
whatever I'm doing at that time. I get hyper focused on it, hyper fixation, and I feel like sometimes it's the remembrance that just zoom out, zoom out, zoom out, zoom out, zoom out.
yeah,
Get to the perspective of, shit, none of this human stuff really even matters. What am
yeah,
I here to do? What am I here to experience? What am I learning here? What am I feeling? What like you said, Z, what needs honoring right now? What's coming up to communicate in self? I think that's
yeah,
kind of the thing that needs to be looked at in a collective. Like, what is yourself asking you for that you're ignoring? I think is a really important question.
that's
Ignoring might be a strong word, but putting off a little bit, putting to the side, whatever word you want to use. I feel like for me, like we've been saying, it was that asking for help. And by doing that, everything is falling into place so much easier, efficiently, and more joyfully. And I really have to have gratitude for everyone that has come and helped me sort the house out, and helped me organise, and helped me create flow in my mind and in my space, so that I can be more of a healthy, successful mum, carrying this baby and looking after my other son. And that's what it means to have a village of some form. That's what it should look like. But
Right.
we can't put it all on other people. You know,
Right.
we have to be open for it. So being open for it, I think, is the main thing. And
Yep.
just allowing yourself to receive, and looking at where you may be closed off to receiving the support, the love, the abundance, whatever it is that you're needing.
Absolutely. And I would say, especially for this month, in my experience and where the collective's at, uh, it's really settling in with the trusting of the process and
Mm-hmm.
understanding that in any given moment, you're safe exactly where you're at. Uh,
Yeah.
is a big one. And
Yeah. Big one, that.
yep, really, really listening to what you're hearing coming in really strongly.
Mm-hmm.
That's like an action step, like for me to go out and be in the sun for, 15, 20 minutes, or
Mm-hmm.
you're hearing like, ask this person for support, and you're denying that with yourself, then I would sit with that for a minute, because that soul perspective really is talking in that directive space. And if that is denied, then it will continue to put that in the directive space until you get to that
100%.
right. So listen to those tiny little things, like, oh, I need extra rest, or I need extra food right now, because your soul is really working with your body to try and make that remembrance happen and allow you to be in a space where you can seriously create what you want.
Yeah.
So trust that, listen to yourself, take those tiny little actions that you hear, no matter what anybody says, no matter what anybody does around you. Be strong within yourself to take those, because every single one that you do take in that way, even though it might be uncomfortable, has got a diamond within yourself after that. And then more of that alignment comes in from taking those tiny little steps. It's a lot easier.
100%. Yeah, totally agree. And I really liked what you said about the tiny little steps. Like, I remember having that integration of,
Yeah.
stop trying to run up that mountain and get there. Just because you can even see it, don't mean you need to run up it. Love, it means you can just take it one step at a time.
Yeah.
You know, like one step at a time. And I've literally got a rock from a mountain I'd hiked at that time. And it was like shaped like, like going up. And so I painted a little mountain and a little me on it, saying, take it one step at a time. And I put it on my altar so that I can have that remembrance that we're not here to do it all in one day. That's like going and doing a whole university degree in a day. You're not going to do that. You're going to spread the modules out over the years and do the assignments and the assessments and the tests, and then you're going to get your qualification. If we want to humanize it like that, that's
Yes.
kind of what we're going through. We need to go through the modules and the learning and the integrations.
Exactly.
And then the little mini tests that we have to kind of prepare ourselves for the bigger test that we have, that then gives us the certificate of the integration and the release. And so, allow yourself the time, the patience, the openness, and the trust. I think they're the two things we can kind of leave today's theme on. And also just letting you guys know that we are really wanting you to be open with questions. If you do have any questions that you want to kind of have some answers to, you want to spend more on topics, more on certain things that you find challenging, triggering, like different techniques and tips that you want help on, whatever it is that you guys kind of want a bit of information on, make sure you are either like commenting that on either of the YouTube video channels, or making sure you're sending them in. I think we will be doing live videos in the future as well, so that would be a really good place for everyone to kind of come together and get the questions out at the same time, and just kind of share a bit of that energy and reflect together. But yeah, I'm really excited to continue this sea. And today has been a little bit wishy-washy everywhere, but I think that's what happens when we're kind of introducing and connecting in. It just happens, but really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it too. Thank you so much, guys. Again, this is interactive. We want your questions in here. We'd like to see what topics you'd like to be brought up, and where you guys are at. So we really appreciate you, and I'm really excited for this. I really am. So thank you.
Thank you, guys. Lots of love.
Bye.
Bye.